Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are going to be talking about period dramas and how we choose to tell the story of women in history, specifically talking about The White Queen, which recently premiered on Starz. By the time I filmed this video, it was Saturday afternoon, and the next episode will be airing on the day after I filmed this video, so I do not know what they did in that episode. However, I know history and I've read the book it's based on, so I'm pretty sure I'm still right about everything I'm saying. Of course, adaptations can change, but I think I've got a pretty solid grip on the White Princess. I think we're good. I actually got to go to a screening of the show that was hosted by Refinery 29 in Brooklyn, and I got to go to the screening, and it was very interesting to be able to watch the episode with a group of people, and then, of course, hear the cast and the executive producer and writer talk about the show and what it meant to them. And so taking that all in mind, and waiting for the show to premiere, I really wanted to do a video discussing the choices that we make in empowering female monarchs in these period dramas. And I was going to do one that talked about the crown, reign, and the White Princess, but I found that it just got kind of convoluted, and I decided just to focus on the White Princess, because I think every problem that I have with what choices that people make in modernizing and adapting royalty, especially female royalty, is encapsulated in this show. So if you're interested in that, please keep watching, and then please thumbs up and subscribe and share this video to anyone you think would enjoy listening to my stupid voice. And we will get into discussing The White Princess and, oh my god, the choices they make. Spoiler alert, of course, for the premiere episode, and I guess spoilers for history in general. And also, just as a heads up to everyone, there will be a discussion briefly of rape, and there is a rape scene in the premiere episode of the show if you do decide to watch it. Some people are not calling it rape. It is very clearly rape, so I don't know what they're talking about. But just a heads up for anyone who wants to watch it. The White Princess bears the burden of being Phillippa Gregory nonsense. And I say that in an affectionate kind of way because I read all of her books. I read The Other Boleyn Girl twice. And I really have read and have owned at some point pretty much every book she's ever written that's based on a historical figure. But Phillippa Gregory has never heard a fucking rumor that she did not want to write about. And all of them are rumors that are detrimental to the women that she is seeking to write about. I mean, Anne Boleyn being in an incestual relationship with her brother, Elizabeth I being in a sexual relationship with Thomas Seymour, the Woodvilles being all magic woo-woo, Catherine of Aragon lying about her virginity. In The White Princess, the rumor that she chooses to fucking perpetuate is this rumor that Elizabeth of York, Lizzie as she's called in the show, had an incestuous sexual relationship with her uncle, Richard III. I get that these are works of fiction, and that in a lot of ways you have to sort of like dramatize everything in order to make it more interesting as a narrative and as a television show. I get it. Word. But at the same time, this is based on actual people and women. Since the show and the books are heralded as giving a voice to the women of the War of the Roses, they then have a responsibility to call them out as to when they put in stupid bullshit like Elizabeth of York being sexually involved with her fucking uncle. We don't know everything about Elizabeth of York. I've never fucking met her. But I can guarantee you this. She did not sleep with her uncle. How do I know this? Because she wasn't a fucking idiot. That's why. There is absolutely no way that that would have been okay. It's trying to portray Lizzie as sexually empowered via her being, you know, in this relationship and being a sexual person. I don't understand why, like, sexuality is the only way women can be empowered, one. Two, how is her being involved with her uncle, who at the time was, like, over a decade older than her, and was married? How is her being in a relationship with him empowering for her? And not to mention, like, alright, let's just place this in the 15th century. Like, her sleeping with her uncle would be fucking stupid. For a multitude of reasons. One, she is the daughter of a king, and her not being a virgin would be ruin her reputation, enable her, and would prevent her from being able to marry anyone of real high birth that she would usually get because of her station. It also would have been terrible because, like I said before, Richard was married to Anne Neville at the time, and by all accounts loved his wife, and even if he didn't and had mistresses, his niece would not be one of them. Richard would not have married his niece because, one, it would have been seen as incestuous. They would have needed a papal dispensation to get married, and with his claim to the throne being so, up in the air, he would need to marry a foreign power to really solidify himself in order to, maintain his throne. His relationship with Anne Neville had motivating factor because of who Anne Neville was. And as being the daughter of the Kingmaker, the Earl of Warwick. Marrying his niece is just fucking weird. And not something that would have been politically helpful to him at all. It would have made him look like a deviant, especially since he probably killed his fucking nephew, so it wouldn't really look good for him, unless he would look like a stupid person for being involved with him on that level. They could have had affection for each other, of course, that was his niece, but would they have had sex? Absolutely not. Definitely not. It's a nasty rumor made to damage Elizabeth of York, not to empower her. Don't get me wrong, I do understand what they want to do. They want to tell this sort of story of two people being forced into a political marriage, how they hate each other and then they fall in love, blah, 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 which is fine. You want to tell that story. You could even have Elizabeth of York having had feelings for Richard in a multitude of ways. I mean, one, that was her uncle. Two, it hurts her own fucking claim because, she could be considered a bastard if the Lancasters come in or whatever. There are a lot of reasons why you can create that conflict between Elizabeth of York and Henry VII being married and how that would be hard for them. That being said, they have chosen to do it in a way that hurts Lizzie in terms of her own value, because on top of it all, they put in this fictitious rape. And this is something from the book, because again, Phillippa Gregory loves to have her villains and make them as villainous as possible, including Henry and Margaret Beaufort. And this bothers me. And this is the thing of why I cannot ever concede to calling Phillippa Gregory's works like feminist or female empowering narratives at all, because she perpetuates rumors that were created to hurt women and tries to twist them into being like, this kind of narrative idea. Also, Lizzie being raped, there's no way to make that better. And you are also on top of it making it so that we know that historically Lizzie and Henry are going to fall in love. They're going to be together. Why are you starting off their relationship with a rape? And I know that the executive producer, Emma Frost, which I love her name, she spoke at the screening about, wanting to write it as a way of allowing Lizzie to maintain power in this situation. And I think that has been interpretive of saying that it's not a rape. It is still rape. And I think the concern was trying to ease it to make it uncomfortable for them both as a way to sort of humanize Henry and to also, give Lizzie this kind of like power in the situation that was terrible. Now, as I said before, it is fruit of the poisonous tree because they chose to adapt Phillippa Gregory nonsense. And this is her nonsense. But part of that fruit of the dangerous tree is that you are dealing with the fact that they're going to fall in love, and that's going to be fucking hard to watch. It's going to be hard to watch a rapist and his rape victim fall in love with each other. And you didn't have to do that. Even the whole conceit of, like, he did it because he wanted to test to make sure that she was fertile and that she could carry an heir. Elizabeth Woodville had 12 fucking children, okay? Like, she had 2 sons from her previous marriage, and she had plenty of children with, Edward. So there's absolutely no way people thought that she couldn't have kids. So Lizzie was gonna have children. So that's just a stupid fucking, assertion on their part. But this is a political marriage. They were going to have uncomfortable, probably not into it sex anyway to consummate their marriage. You could have had them having an awkward, Lizzie is in pain because she's a virgin and, you know, he's not caring about her. That same kind of like awkward, patriarchal, sexual conversation without it being rape. It could have just been a thing of duty for them both that they had to do. They both hate it. And, you know, Lizzie probably more so because it's demeaning for her, and you move it on from there of talking about these things in an engaging way. But you chose to do rape. And when you make that choice, you take responsibility for it and realize that it's going to make your show and your male lead look like shit, and work with that as a writer and as a creative team. And I have hopes that they will at least try to do that, because Ms. Frost said that like the entire writing team was female, most of the people who were behind the scenes were female, and so I am going to give it the benefit of doubt that they will try their best to mediate the Phillippa Gregory poisonous nonsense. But it's there because of how they've chosen to adapt this book. And the thing is too is that they've chosen to do this more sexually empowered Lizzie, and that I have mixed feelings about, because I understand that Elizabeth of York is probably not the most fascinating person to fucking adapt. There's not a lot of information known about her. She was a very passive queen in her life, so it's hard to create a drama where she's the centerpiece. But you chose to. And there is something very interesting to say in her story. You could have had a very interesting Sansa-like character. Well, actually more like Book Marjorie type character who, you know, seems very passive, doesn't seem like she has any kind of agenda, but is still brewing something in the background, which is what, you know, Lizzie character says that she's going to do, but does so under the air of purity and nobility and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, that's the situation that she's in. But still can be sexually empowered in private, all those kind of things, and there are ways to make that narrative and make it work, and to show a kind of female strength that is more in line with who the person was historically. They've chosen to sex it up because it's Starz, but also because that seems to be the easy way of empowering these female leaders. And I take umbrage with that, because it seems as if we're trying to empower them for our palette rather than empower them for how they were, or acknowledging their power of what it was when they were alive. I see this a lot on Reign. Reign does this a lot with Mary, where they really want to do these narratives where it's like she wants to like choose who she wants to marry and marry for love, and, you know, do all the, like there's even a part in Reign in season 2 where they create a fictional rape for her, which leads to a love triangle. I mean, it was such dirt trash that, you know, so many fans left. But now in their final season, season 4, they are bringing in Bothwell as a legitimate love interest when he kidnapped Mary and possibly raped her. And it's like, so you chose to empower Mary through a fake rape narrative and make it into this kind of like long overwritten love triangle, which only delegitimized her and would have made her seem flaky as hell in the eyes of all of Europe. But now you're going to take her actual rapist and romanticize it because, well, you can't do that storyline again, and it's easier to do it that way than to really do that kind of hard drama again. And it's frustrating because what they have chosen to do with Mary, Queen of Scots, is they want to make her this kind of noble heroine, instead of making her a fucking real person. Now, I love the show. I love the actress playing her. She's fucking 10 degrees of gorgeous. But Mary, Queen of Scots, was a deeply flawed monarch. And I'm saying this as someone who doesn't even fuck with Elizabeth I on that level of, like, liking her as a historical figure. I appreciate her, but I'm not, like, a fan of her. So, I'm not trying to be like, oh, you know, Mary was, like, a shitty fucking ruler and was, like, not any of that. I think that a lot of that dichotomy between Elizabeth and Mary is completely fucked in a lot of ways. However, Mary, Queen of Scots was also not the political machismo that the show wants her so badly to be. And that's part of her downfall. And it is unfortunate that instead of choosing to make her a well-rounded, flawed character, they choose to empower her sexually, but do not want to deal with what that really means in those times. Like, many of the rumors many of the negative rumors about Mary Queen of Scots are because of her seeming, passion. And the show wants to pretend as though those things don't exist. And I feel like the White Princess is going that same route of trying to pretend as though it's, as a women being openly sexual in this particular court with these particular people is just kind of like whatever. And it's frustrating for me, not because I think there's anything wrong with showing sexuality, but as I said before, it sort of undermines what these women actually had to go through, and it also only empowers them through sex. Not through their politics, not through their minds, but through how they use their tits and their vagina. And that, I think, is a problem. I will still be watching The White Princess, mainly because it did have such a huge female staff and it has a great female cast. And I do enjoy bad historical dramas. I'm not gonna lie. That is I love it so much. But I must bring this up because I think that when it comes to female rulers, we have this ability to mythologize them in however we choose. And I really enjoy Lindsay Ellis's Loose Cannon videos because she really goes into depth about sort of the pop culture history of how these sometimes historical figures, when she does them, go from being human beings to being characters that we are more familiar with. And I think with the female rulers, this is so important that we separate the mythology from fact, because so much of the mythology built around them is sometimes born from sexism. And for me, my issue isn't that Phillippa Gregory is spreading lies and rumors and blah, blah, blah. It's that she is deliberately using sexist rumors to tell these stories and then being rewarded for it by the female community that's just so excited to see women's stories on television, but they're not really thinking, like, she's using things that in real life destroyed or could have potentially destroyed these women's reputations and hurt them as women and their standing. And that's not brought up, that's not acknowledged. And that frustrates me because we have had so many interesting and fascinating female rulers, but we either idolize them or we degrade them. And it's difficult than that. There are women who have been, stupendous fucking rulers of their countries, but terrible people at the same time. I mean, Elizabeth Castile, Mary Tudor. Elizabeth Tudor. Like, there's so many of them who people only know them from the movies, and we have to be able to critically assess what made these women valuable, what their power meant, and I don't even mean it has to be 100% accurate. Like, to me, that's not even the problem. It's like, if you're gonna tell a story about Elizabeth of York, you don't need to tell it by having her have incestual sex with her uncle. I mean, that's just nonsense. You don't have to have her be engraved because that's just nonsense. You're doing that for drama and not to tell the best story you can about Elizabeth of York. You're doing it because it's like sexy steps 1, 2 through 5, and you're going to do kind of like mental gymnastics to make it be like, well, it's a time period, and he could just rape whoever he wanted. I'm like, she's the fucking Princess of England. Okay? She's not just some fucking Sally from the Milquetoast land. Like, she's the daughter of a king. She's been the niece of a king. She'll be the mother of kings and the grandmother of queens. She's Elizabeth fucking York. So, I'm just saying, if you're gonna tell these badass bitches stories, you have to let them be badass bitches for themselves and for their time period. Not everyone can just be like, I will destroy him secretly. I will be patient and silent and I will destroy him. Like, it's like when she's making that speech, it's like, I get what they're trying to do, but all I could see was her breasts. It was just like, and that's all you could see. So I could focus on it because it was just so blatantly there. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying, Lizzie. I admire what you're saying. But, like, your corset is so high. It's so high. And you're so pregnant. Like, wow. Anyway. We are moving forward with this. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're, like, going to make it seem so, like, you need to betray. It's also, like, they always put the women in these fucking shows act so fucking stupid, bro. They're like, I want to marry for love. Why? Why do you think you can do that? Because you know you can't. I don't know what you're doing. Even with fucking Elizabeth Woodville, like, I'm going to hide my son and blah, blah, and I'm going to use the magic, and I'm going to put my colorful hood on, and no one will know it's me, even though I'm the only one wearing blue in this entire fucking scene. It's like, they just make them so fucking dumb. That's what I hate. Like, even on Reign, like, Reign makes Elizabeth fucking Tudor look like the dumbest bitch on earth, dude. Like, she is always crying and like, I don't understand why these things are happening to me. I'm just like, I can't even do this. Like, I don't even like you like this, Elizabeth, but I am hurting for you. I'm hurting for your legacy, because this is not good. Not good at all. And I know I'm a history nerd, and, you know, no one else cares about this, but I care. I care so much. So that's it. Is anyone else watching The White Princess? And who are some of your favorite female monarchs in history? I know one of my favorites, of course, Hippachuset, up on my 25 retrospective video, which I will link to down below. The poll will close 3 p.m. Eastern Central Time on the 28th of April. So let me know if the next video, long form video you want to see will be one on my top bisexuals or a Buffy retrospective. So just let me know in either that video, click on the poll, or leave a comment down below in addition to any other comments you have, and it will be totaled, and I'll let the people know who the winner is that Saturday. Thanks.